She is unmistakable. 93 meters of copper that became the ultimate symbol of the American dream in New York Harbor. But for a moment, forget everything you knew about this monument. Imagine the year 1886. Instead of the Atlantic, the harsh, unforgiving Baltic. Instead of Manhattan, the snow-covered forts of Kronstadt. What if France's most iconic gift was intended not for America, but for the Russian Empire? In this reality, we won't see green copper. Forget about soft features. We have redesigned Lady Liberty from scratch. White marble, gilded domes, and steel forged to withstand Arctic storms. This is Imperial Liberty, a monument that would have rewritten Russia's visual code forever. What would Saint Petersburg look like with this titan on the horizon? Why was this project technically feasible? And what would have become of the statue after 1917? We aren't just drawing pictures, we are building a history that never existed. My name is Bartholdi, and this is a Takta architectural investigation. The history of the Statue of Liberty didn't begin with America. Its creator, Frederick August Bartholdi, originally dreamed of a different location, Egypt. His project, the Light of Asia, was meant to stand at the entrance to the Suez Canal. But Egypt didn't have enough money. The project was rejected. Bartholdi was left with blueprints of a giant woman in his hands and a broken dream. In our reality, he went to the USA. But let's change the vector. The 1870s. France is isolated in Europe and desperately seeking allies. Relations with Russia are warming rapidly. For Paris, it's a matter of survival. For Bartholdi, it's the chance of a lifetime. Instead of New York, crates with blueprints and models go by train to Saint Petersburg, the capital of the world's largest empire. Imagine the year 1881. Alexander III is on the throne, an emperor who adores scale and hates compromises. He doesn't just need a monument, he needs a manifesto. France offers a symbol of liberty. The Tsar interprets it his own way. For him, it's not liberty, but justice and orthodoxy. The gift is accepted, but with one condition: the project must be completely redesigned to match imperial grandeur. Why was this logical? Russia at this time is experiencing an industrial boom. We are building the Trans-Siberian Railway. We are smelting the best steel in the world. We have money, ambition, and endless space. In Paris, Gustave Eiffel begins the calculations, but instead of a flexible steel frame for windy Manhattan, he designs a bronze colossus capable of withstanding the pressure of ice and frosts of -40 degrees. The signature is set, the budget is unlimited. The best architects of the empire join the work. But as soon as the blueprints fell into the hands of Russian masters, Bartholdi's original began to change beyond recognition. Soft copper gave way to monumental stone. The Roman toga turned into an ermine mantle, and the torch? The torch was meant to shine brighter than all the lighthouses of the Baltic Sea. In New York, she's dressed in copper, thin sheets only 2 coins thick. Over time, the sea air turned her into a green ghost. But for 19th century Saint Petersburg, that would be too cheap. Alexander III hated falseness. In our reality, Russian liberty does not become covered in patina. It is carved from monolithic white marble and granite. Look at the face. Bartholdi was inspired by the Roman goddess Libertas, but in the hands of Russian masters, her features change. The face becomes stricter, the cheekbones higher, the gaze directed not into the distance, but straight at you. This is not just a woman with a torch, it is the image of the mother patroness. Instead of a light toga, a heavy mantle trimmed with sable fur is thrown over her shoulders, the filigree work of the Ural's best stone carvers. Inside is the same genius of Gustave Eiffel, but the steel frame in Russia must be twice as strong. Why? Ice. In winter, the statue's weight would increase by dozens of tons due to icing. Eiffel designs an internal heating system. Hot steam from coal boilers in the pedestal circulates through the veins of the statue, making it literally breathe warmth in the middle of the bay's icy desert. And now the details that change the meaning. In the left hand of the American statue is a tablet with the date of the Declaration of Independence. In our version, it is the open book of laws of the empire, where God, Tsar, and Fatherland is inscribed in gold. The crown? 7 rays symbolizing 7 continents? In Russia, they are replaced by a domed structure resembling the crown of Monomakh. But the main shock is the torch. Instead of a copper flame, a giant lens of Bohemian crystal. Inside it are the latest Yablachkov arc lamps of the time. At night, this light pierces the fog for dozens of kilometers, turning the statue into the most magnificent lighthouse in human history. This is not just a symbol, it is a triumph of engineering thought and design that knows no borders. Choosing a location for such a giant is not just a question of aesthetics, it is a question of geopolitics. In New York, she meets immigrants seeking a new life. In Russia, at the end of the 19th century, she was meant to welcome the whole world entering the main gates of the empire. Forget about Moscow. The true home for the Russian Lady Liberty is Kronstadt. Imagine the island of Kronstadt or the legendary Fort Alexander I. Right in the middle of the Gulf of Finland, an artificial granite island pedestal rises. In winter, this site would be absolutely otherworldly, a massive white figure rising directly from the icy crust of the Baltic. While icebreaker ships clear a path to the port, they are illuminated by the flame from the crystal torch, reflecting off the endless snow. It is not just a statue, it is the northernmost and harshest guardian of Europe. The height of the pedestal in our version would be even greater than the American one. The Russian architectural school of that time loved to dominate. The base of the statue is a powerful Neo-Byzantine pyramid of red Finnish granite. Inside the pedestal is not just a museum, but a luxurious reception hall lined with malachite and lapis lazuli. Panoramic windows in the base look out over Saint Petersburg, which is visible in the palm of your hand on a clear day. But the most magical moment is during the white nights. When the sun almost never leaves the horizon, the rosy light of the sunset would fall on the marble body of the statue, making it glow from within. At that moment, the line between architecture and mysticism would vanish completely. She would become the main symbol of the northern capital, even overshadowing the bronze horseman, a statue that doesn't just stand, but reigns over the water. 1917. The empire is on fire. When thrones fall, symbols are the first to take the hit. In our reality, a crowd of sailors and workers storms Kronstadt. For them, this marble giant is not justice, but an idol of the autocracy. In the heat of the revolution, calls are heard, blow it up, throw it into the sea. But architecture of this scale possesses its own gravity. It is too big to simply disappear. The Bolsheviks decide not to demolish it, but to reinterpret it. In the 1920s, the Lady Liberty undergoes its first great reconstruction. The imperial crown is removed from its head, replaced by a simple 5-pointed star glowing with red neon. Instead of the Book of Laws, its hands hold the manifesto of the proletariat. It no longer looks down on the world, it points the way to the world revolution. The statue becomes the beacon of socialism. 1941. The blockade. The statue in Kronstadt becomes the most visible target for the Luftwaffe. To save the giant, engineers do the impossible. Thousands of square meters of camouflage nets, hundreds of tons of gray paint. The white marble turns into a concrete shadow, merging with the gray Baltic sky. The torch goes out for 900 long days. It stands in the darkness, wounded by shrapnel, a symbol of a city that refused to surrender. After the war, every chip on its body is repaired with gold in the style of the Japanese art of kintsugi, making the scars part of its greatness. Today, in 2026, this statue would be the premier tourist attraction of the world. Imagine a modern lighting system, thousands of lasers projecting the country's history onto its marble body, from Peter the Great's reforms to the conquest of space. For us, as builders and designers, it would be a project of eternal restoration. Thousands of sensors inside Eiffel's frame monitor every micron of ground shift. It is the most complex mechanism on the planet, where history meets high technology. The Statue of Liberty in Russia is not just a monument, it is a monument to the volatility of human ideas. It could have been copper or marble, Imperial or Soviet. But one thing would remain unchanged: its greatness, which makes us look up no matter what. Which building would you like to see relocated next? The Eiffel Tower in Tokyo or the Burj Khalifa in ancient Rome? Let us know in the comments. We will visualize the best idea in our next video. Subscribe. This is where history that never happened comes to life.